Admiral Catherine Morgan stood at the observation deck of Earth Defense Station Alpha, her weathered face reflecting in the reinforced plasteel window. The notification that just flashed across her neural interface made her jaw clench. 3 human colony worlds had just gone dark. Not just dark, they had been completely obliterated by the Arcturus Dominion, the most ancient spacefaring civilization known to humanity. "Play the message again," she commanded. Her AI assistant, Nexus, projected the holographic recording. The Arcturian High Commander, a being of crystalline structure and pulsing energy, delivered their ultimatum with cold precision. Humanity's rapid technological advancement and biological adaptability pose an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. This is merely a warning. Cease all military research and submit to Dominion oversight, or face extinction. Morgan's hand unconsciously touched the scarred side of her face, a reminder of humanity's first contact with hostile alien life decades ago. The Arcturians thought they were dealing with naive newcomers to the galactic stage. They couldn't be more wrong. Nexus, initiate Protocol Omega. Authorization code, Phoenix Rising. The AI's interface pulsed in acknowledgement as quantum-encrypted signals raced across human space. 2 centuries of preparation were about to bear fruit. In the depths of Luna's military complex, General David Chen received the alert. He activated his secure communication link to the Admiral. The evacuation was successful. All colonists were moved through the quantum tunnels before the strikes. The Dominion destroyed empty shells. Morgan allowed herself a grim smile. "Excellent. Begin Phase 1. Contact Director Hammond at Agricultural Division. It's time to activate our special export protocols." Across human space, seemingly innocent agricultural shipments continued their regular routes to Arcturus worlds. Each carefully engineered food product contained compounds that had been steadily accumulating in Arcturian biology for decades. Harmless individually, but devastating in combination. The Arcturians' greatest mistake wasn't attacking Earth's colonies. It was assuming that humanity's peaceful trading stance reflected weakness rather than strategy. They never questioned why Earth had become the galaxy's primary food supplier. Never wondered why human agricultural products were so perfectly suited to their species' needs. In her private office aboard the station, Morgan accessed the classified archives. Project Long Thought, initiated after humanity's first hostile alien encounter, had been breathtaking in its scope and patience. Every trade agreement, every technological exchange, every diplomatic mission had been part of an intricate defense strategy. Nexus, show me current integration levels of human technology in Arcturus infrastructure. The AI displayed a complex web of connections. Human-designed navigation systems, communication protocols, and agricultural dependencies pulsed like a nervous system throughout Dominion space. "They thought we were sharing our technology out of naive goodwill," Morgan murmured. "They never realized we were building a kill switch into their civilization." The first reports from Arcturus space began arriving. Their supposedly superior gravity manipulation technology was experiencing mysterious failures. Navigation systems were showing subtle but increasing errors. And their population was beginning to experience unexpected physiological changes. Morgan opened a channel to Earth's Strategic Command. "All pieces are in position. The Dominion believes they've caught us off guard, but they've just triggered their own downfall. Begin the countdown." In the vast expanse of space, humanity's response to aggression wouldn't be dramatic fleets of warships or planet-destroying weapons. It would be the careful unraveling of an empire through means they never saw coming. The Arcturians were about to learn why Earth's history of warfare made us so dangerous. We had learned to win wars before they even began. Hidden throughout human space, military installations remained dormant, their true purposes concealed behind civilian facades. Ships that appeared to be simple freighters maintained their regular routes. The galaxy watched for signs of human retaliation, not realizing it had already been in motion for centuries. As Morgan watched the stars through her window, she thought about the long game humanity had played. Send a message to the Dominion, she instructed Nexus. Tell them we wish to discuss terms of surrender. Let them think they had won. Their victory would be their undoing. 3 months after the attack, High Commander Voss of the Arcturus Dominion observed the spreading chaos with mounting dread. The crystalline fragments that composed his form pulsed with an irregular rhythm, a sign of extreme stress among his kind. The reports flooding his neural network painted an increasingly disturbing picture. Explain these anomalies, he demanded of Chief Analyst Zara, whose usually brilliant crystalline form had dulled to an alarming opacity. How are the humans causing this without any military action? The holographic displays surrounding them showed cascading failures across Dominion space. Their once mighty gravity manipulation technology, the cornerstone of their civilization, was becoming unreliable. Ships were experiencing navigation errors. Most alarming were the behavioral changes spreading through the population. The humans appear to be doing nothing, Commander, Zara reported, her voice carrying harmonics of confusion. They continue normal trade operations, maintain diplomatic channels, and show all signs of submission. Yet. She gestured at the spreading indicators of systemic failure across their empire. In the quantum-shielded war room beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Director Hammond of Agricultural Operations reviewed the latest data with his team. The massive chamber hummed with activity as analysts tracked the progression of their carefully orchestrated plan. Phase 1 effectiveness, he asked, studying the complex genetic models floating before him. Dr. Elena Torres, head of xenobiology, highlighted specific data streams. The engineered nutrients we've been introducing to their food supply are reaching critical concentration. Their crystalline structures are becoming increasingly unstable. The Dominion's hierarchical consensus, which depends on perfect crystalline resonance, is fragmenting. Hammond nodded. Humanity had learned early that direct confrontation wasn't always the answer. Why fight an enemy when you could simply change them at their most fundamental level? Back in Dominion space, entire colonies were reporting unprecedented breaks in their unity matrix, the psychic network that bound their crystalline consciousness together. Individuals were experiencing something they hadn't felt in millennia, independent thought. Our latest surveys show concerning trends, Zara reported to Commander Voss. 30% of our population is exhibiting resistance to collective harmony. Some are questioning the wisdom of the attack on human colonies. Voss's form flickered with agitation. Impossible. We are the Arcturus Dominion. We have existed in perfect unity for 50,000 years. How could they possibly? Commander, Zara interrupted, her tone carrying unusual urgency. I've completed an analysis of human agricultural exports over the past century. The molecular structures of their food products, they're not random. They're precisely engineered to interact with our crystalline matrices. In his private chambers aboard Luna Station, Admiral Chen reviewed the progress reports with satisfaction. The Dominion's response to their colony's destruction had been exactly as predicted by the psychological models. Their overconfidence, their assumption of superiority, had been their greatest vulnerability. Nexus, show me the current status of Operation Shatterpoint, he commanded. The AI displayed a complex network of causality chains, each representing a carefully planted weakness in Dominion infrastructure. The humans hadn't just been selling food to the Dominion, they had been systematically introducing compounds that altered the very nature of Arcturian consciousness. Each carefully designed molecule was harmless alone, but together they were creating microscopic disruptions in their crystalline structures. Meanwhile, the backdoors hidden in shared technology were beginning to activate. Navigation errors increased. Communication networks experienced random failures. The mighty Arcturus Dominion was discovering that their technological superiority had become a vulnerability. They're beginning to suspect, reported Captain Maya Rodriguez, head of cyber operations. But they can't stop using our systems without completely crippling their infrastructure. They've become too dependent. Chen allowed himself a grim smile. How long until total systemic failure? At current progression rates, their society will reach critical instability within 2 months. Their unity matrix is already showing signs of cascading failure. In the heart of Dominion space, Voss faced a horrifying realization. The humans hadn't just been preparing for war, they'd been waging it for centuries. Every trade deal, every technological exchange, every diplomatic mission had been part of an intricate strategy. Send a message to Earth, he commanded, his crystalline form dimming with the effort of maintaining coherence. Tell them we wish to negotiate. Zara's response carried tones of despair. Commander, I don't think we're in a position to negotiate anymore. Look at these patterns, they're not just attacking our technology or our biology. They're changing who we are. The very nature of our consciousness is being altered. Across Dominion space, the carefully maintained order of 50,000 years was unraveling. Their perfect unity was dissolving into billions of individual thoughts, desires, and questions. The empire that had thought itself invulnerable was discovering that its greatest strength, its unified consciousness, had become its greatest weakness. At the heart of Earth's agricultural exchange on Mars, Dr. Elena Torres studied the latest data streams from Dominion space. The massive hydroponic gardens surrounding her facility continued their relentless production of carefully engineered crops, each plant a weapon in humanity's silent arsenal. Show me the dissolution patterns, she commanded. The holographic display revealed the spreading chaos across Arcturian society. Their once unified crystalline consciousness was fracturing into billions of individual minds, each experiencing freedom for the first time in millennia. In the Dominion's capital sphere, High Commander Voss struggled to maintain coherence as his own crystalline form began to exhibit signs of transformation. The carefully maintained harmony of their species was dissolving, replaced by something new and terrifying, individual thought. Our outer colonies are in open revolt, Zara reported, her own form flickering with unstable energy patterns. They're refusing to accept central consciousness protocols. Some are even demanding autonomous governance. The humans' plan was more devastating than any conventional warfare. They hadn't just attacked the Dominion's technology or biology, they had engineered the end of their entire way of existence. Each carefully designed molecule in their food exports had been part of a grand design to awaken individual consciousness in a species that had known only unity for 50,000 years. Admiral Morgan reviewed the reports from her command center on Luna. Begin Phase 3, she ordered. Activate the quantum resonance disruptors. Across Dominion space, hidden protocols in human-design technology began to emit specific frequencies that accelerated the breakdown of crystalline unity. The same technology that had helped maintain their hive mind was now becoming the instrument of its dissolution. We're receiving unusual requests from Dominion worlds, Captain Rodriguez reported. Some colonies are asking for asylum. Others want to establish independent trade relations with Earth. Morgan nodded. This too had been predicted. Prepare diplomatic channels for individual negotiations. The Dominion is about to fragment into thousands of independent entities. We need to be ready to help them transition. In his rapidly deteriorating command sphere, Voss made a final attempt to understand their defeat. How, he demanded of Zara. How did they plan this so perfectly? They used our own nature against us, Zara replied, her consciousness now distinct enough to form independent theories. Our unity made us strong, but it also made us predictable. They studied us for centuries, learning exactly how to transform our society. The agricultural facilities on Mars continued their production, but now they were preparing different formulations. Instead of compounds designed to break down crystalline unity, they were developing nutrients to help stabilize individual Arcturian consciousness. The transitions will be difficult for them, Dr. Torres explained to the Earth Council. They've never experienced individual existence. Some will adapt quickly, others will struggle. We need to be ready to help. Morgan addressed the Council with grim satisfaction. The Dominion thought they were punishing an upstart species. Instead, they gave us the justification to implement a plan centuries in the making. Their attack on our colonies wasn't just a tactical error, it was the trigger we needed to fundamentally transform their civilization. Across Dominion space, the change was accelerating. The once mighty empire was dissolving into thousands of independent worlds, each experiencing consciousness in new ways. Some embraced the change, forming new societies based on individual thought and voluntary cooperation. Others struggled, trying desperately to maintain the old unity. The human response to aggression hadn't been destruction, it had been transformation. They had engineered the end of one civilization and the birth of many new ones, all without firing a single shot. In the final moments of the Arcturus Dominion's unified existence, Voss experienced something entirely new: regret. They had assumed humanity's peaceful nature was a sign of weakness. They hadn't understood that humans had learned through their own bloody history that the most profound victories don't come through destruction, but through change. As the last threads of the Unity Matrix dissolved, Voss sent a final message to Earth: we understand now. You didn't just defeat us. You freed us from a prison we didn't know we were in. The galaxy watched in amazement as humanity demonstrated a form of warfare never before seen, the systematic and peaceful transformation of an entire civilization. The species that had been dismissed as young and naive had just rewritten the rules of galactic conflict. The crystalline spires of the Arcturus capital world shimmered with unstable energy as the last vestiges of their unified consciousness crumbled. High Commander Voss, now barely maintaining his form, watched as millennia of order dissolved into chaos. 90% of our worlds have declared independence, Zara reported, her own consciousness now fully distinct. The remaining loyalist factions are fighting among themselves. Our civilization is. She paused, experiencing the novel sensation of individual emotion, transforming. Admiral Morgan observed the collapse from Earth's strategic command. The holographic displays showed thousands of newly independent Arcturian worlds establishing their own governments, their own identities. Initiate final phase, she ordered. Offer stabilization assistance to any world that requests it. The human response had been devastatingly elegant. Instead of destroying the Dominion, they had given its people something they never knew they wanted: freedom of thought, individual consciousness, the right to choose their own path. Earth's agricultural ships, now carrying stabilizing compounds, departed for Arcturian space. These new formulations would help the transformed beings adapt to individual existence while preventing the psychological trauma of sudden consciousness separation. In the quantum labs beneath Luna's surface, Dr. Torres monitored the genetic changes spreading through the Arcturian population. The transformation is accelerating beyond our models, she reported. They're not just changing physically, they're evolving new forms of consciousness we never predicted. Some Arcturian worlds embraced art, music, and individual expression for the first time in their history. Others developed new forms of voluntary cooperation based on choice rather than forced unity. The empire that had threatened humanity was becoming something entirely new. Voss, experiencing individual emotions for the first time, made a final decision. He opened a direct channel to Earth, not as the high commander of a dying empire, but as one consciousness speaking to another. You could have destroyed us, he transmitted. Instead, you gave us something we never knew we needed. Our unity was stagnation. You forced us to grow. Admiral Morgan's response was simple: humanity learned long ago that true victory isn't about destruction. It's about transformation. Welcome to individual existence, Commander Voss. Your people are finally free to choose their own destiny. As the last neural networks of the Dominion dissolved, a new era of galactic civilization began. The species that had once threatened humanity's existence was becoming thousands of unique civilizations, each with its own path, its own dreams, its own future. The greatest victory in human history hadn't come through superior firepower or military might. It had come through understanding, patience, and the careful application of change. They had defeated an empire not by destroying it, but by giving its people the gift of choice. And across the galaxy, other civilizations watched and learned, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their military might. It was their understanding that true power lies not in forcing unity, but in embracing diversity and change. 1 year after the fall of the Arcturus Dominion, the Galactic Council convened an historic session. Representatives from thousands of newly independent Arcturian worlds joined delegates from across known space. The council chamber, once dominated by the unified crystalline presence of the Dominion, now sparkled with diverse forms of consciousness. Admiral Morgan addressed the assembly. The transformation of the Arcturian civilization marks not an end, but a beginning. Earth stands ready to help all newly independent worlds navigate their path forward. The former High Commander Voss, now a respected philosopher among his people, spoke next. His crystalline form now pulsed with individual colors, a visible sign of his embraced independence. Our species lived 50,000 years in unity, believing it was strength. Humanity showed us that true strength lies in diversity, in the power of individual choice. Earth's agricultural ships now supplied customized nutrients to each Arcturian world, supporting their unique paths of development. Some worlds had developed vibrant artistic cultures, their crystalline beings creating stunning light displays. Others focused on scientific advancement, their individual minds pushing boundaries their collective consciousness never dared explore. Dr. Torres presented her findings to Earth's Strategic Command. The Arcturian transformation exceeded our models. They're developing forms of consciousness we never imagined possible. Some have even found ways to shift between individual and collective states at will. The galaxy had learned a profound lesson. Humanity's response to aggression hadn't been revenge or destruction, it had been evolution. They had defeated an empire by setting its people free. As the council session concluded, Morgan reflected on humanity's victory. They had won not through superior firepower, but through understanding, patience, and the careful application of change. The species that had threatened their existence had become thousands of unique civilizations, each charting its own course among the stars. The greatest triumph in human history hadn't come through destruction, but through transformation. They had rewritten the rules of galactic conflict, proving that true power lies not in forcing unity, but in embracing diversity and change. And across the stars, a new era dawned, one where civilization meant not the dominance of one way of thinking, but the celebration of infinite possibilities.